Hi, I'm Deanna Springer. On behalf of Nancy Zieman Productions and PBS Wisconsin, welcome to the virtual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. Enjoy this educational presentation, and afterward, be sure to explore all the virtual event has to offer, including beautiful virtual quilt exhibits, an interactive vendor mall, and more. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the show. Hi, I'm Deanna Springer. Thank you for joining us for the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show Virtual Edition, and thank you for joining me today for No Hassle Triangles and Quilts the Nancy Zieman Way. Although we're not together in person, I'm imagining you're right here with me on the set of Stitch It Sisters, and I'm excited to share time-saving quilting tips by Nancy Zieman, my longtime friend, along with our brand new No Hassle Triangles ruler. Today I'm showing how to make our new Red Elegance quilt. This striking quilt is made from half-square triangle quilt blocks, including windmill, flying geese, 8-point star, and simple variations of bow ties, along with solid square quilt blocks. The half-square quilt blocks are made the Nancy Zieman way, without ever cutting a triangle. When the blocks are combined with sashing and borders, the result is an elegant sampler quilt. We'll begin the block making process by creating the center 8-pointed star design. But first we need to gather our fabrics, all of our supplies, and do some steaming and pressing at the ironing board. A classic time-saving tip by my friend Nancy. Head to the ironing board and steam and press all the fabrics, and treat each piece of fabric with starch or starch savvy to prepare all the fabrics for the block making steps. We'll be making each of the block elements from half-square triangles today, and we'll be cutting half-square triangles from crosswise fabric strips. We'll be cutting our crosswise fabric strips with our new No Hassle Triangles ruler. The ruler, it is an 8-inch by 24-inch rotary cutting ruler, and it has all the dimensions on it listed for making quilt blocks from 2.5 to 6.5 inches. After cutting crosswise fabric strips, we'll subcut the fabric strips into blocks. This ruler makes solid quilt blocks, half-square quilt blocks, and quarter-square quilt blocks, all by following the color-coded dimensions on the ruler. The green markings are for solid blocks. The purple markings are for half-square, and the aqua markings on the ruler are for quarter-square triangles. With this ruler, we can make quilt blocks that are 6.5 inches, 5.5 inches, 4.5 inches, 3.5 inches, and 2.5 inches. And today we're making all quilt blocks that are 3.5 inches. So we'll be following the half-square measurements on the ruler for half-square triangles. To make the center 8-pointed star quilt block design, we'll start by cutting crosswise fabric strips. And the quilt I'm making today is all made with 3.5-inch quilt blocks. In the pattern, we have instructions for making a bed-size quilt using 6.5-inch quilt blocks. So either way, the choice is yours to make a wall hanging or a bed quilt. And it really doesn't take that much more time to cut the pieces and sew them for a bed quilt than a wall hanging. We'll start by cutting crosswise fabric strips. I'm following the ruler, and to make 3.5-inch half-square quilt blocks, I'll be cutting 3 7/8-inch crosswise fabric strips. It used to be that we had to look in a book or have that all memorized. Now it's all on the ruler. So we're cutting our crosswise fabric strips, and then we'll subcut them into squares. So for the center quilt block, we'll need several fabrics in reds and creams, and we'll be cutting 3 7/8-inch squares. And we'll also need some corner squares to set the block off. And the corner squares are not made into half square triangles, so those need to be cut 3.5 inches. To make a half square triangle, we'll align a light square with a dark square, and we like to use Nancy's No Hassle Triangles gauge. It's a sliding gauge with the block sizes and illustrations listed right on the gauge. So I'll set the gauge for 3.5-inch half squares, and I'll align the gauge with the corners of the square. And with a marking pen, I'll mark. I'll mark through the die cut openings, and I marked that center line, but that's not our stitching line. We'll be stitching 1/4 inch on each side of that line. That's actually our center cut line. But next we'll head to the sewing machine and we'll attach a 1/4 inch presser foot to the machine, and we'll stitch. We'll stitch on each side of that line. After you stitch the block, you'll have a 1/4 inch, scant 1/4 inch stitching on each side of that center line. And I like to chain stitch the blocks. Just keep continuously feeding the blocks into the machine and you'll have all your blocks made. With the scissors, you'll cut apart those threads to separate the blocks, and then I'm going to cut. I'm cutting down the center of that line, that marked line, and you could do that with a rotary cutter at a rotary mat too. And then when you open the blocks and press them, each block set makes 2 half square triangle quilt blocks. And you'll want to head to the pressing board with the heat of an iron and press those fabrics to the dark side. Press those seam allowances to the dark side. After you've made all of your block sets for the center 8-pointed star design, next is the arranging. We'll arrange all of the half square quilt blocks with 4 solid corner squares, and you'll have the center 8-pointed star design. The next block element we're making in our Red Elegance quilt are the flying geese blocks. To make the flying geese blocks, we'll start by cutting crosswise fabric strips with our No Hassle Triangles ruler, and we'll subcut them into squares. So for each block, you'll just need 1 set, 1 dark and 1 light, and we'll pair them together. We'll again take the No Hassle Triangles gauge and we'll slide that to the 3.5-inch half square block, align it with the edges, and we'll trace. Trace through the die cut openings. And again, that's not our stitching line. We will be stitching a scant 1/4 inch away from each of those on each side of the line. We'll head to the sewing machine, we'll stitch, chain stitch those blocks together, and the next step is to cut the blocks apart, and each block set will make 2 half square triangles. Once you press these open, it makes really fast work of making half square triangles. Once you press them open, it's simple: rotate, seam down the middle, and you have flying geese quilt blocks. The next block element we're making in the Red Elegance quilt is the bow tie block. The bow tie block is made up from 2 half square triangles and 2 solid squares. So we'll be cutting crosswise fabric strips with the No Hassle Triangles ruler. For the half square triangles, we need to cut 3 7/8 inch crosswise fabric strips. For the solid blocks, we need to cut 3.5 inch. And the complete instructions are included with the ruler and within the pattern. After you've cut your crosswise fabric strips, we'll again subcut into squares. So we'll take our dark square, our red berry square, and a red square on top, and we'll take the No Hassle Triangles gauge, set it for the 3.5 inch half square block, aligning it on the corners, and then mark through those die cut openings. We do this for each element of the quilt between half square and solid blocks. That's all that makes up the quilt. It looks very intricate, but that's it. You know, now we'll head to the sewing machine and we'll use scant 1/4 inch seam allowance and we'll stitch on each side of that line. We'll cut those blocks apart, and each block set, one of these makes 2 half square triangles. And just by rotating the blocks and positioning them and adding those 3.5 inch square blocks, you can create the bow tie block. The next block element is the windmill quilt block. The windmill quilt block is made from just 4 half square triangles. And we'll make our half square triangles the same way we've made our previous triangles, cutting crosswise fabric strips with a No Hassle Triangles ruler, and then subcutting them into squares. And then I always put the light on top, and with the No Hassle Triangles gauge, mark my center line through those die cut openings. And then we'll head to the sewing machine and stitch. Stitching a scant 1/4 inch on each side of the line, cutting the chain stitch blocks apart, cutting the blocks in half following that center marked line, and it works great to do that at the rotary mat with a rotary cutter. And then you'll press them open, pressing the blocks, the seam allowance to the dark side of the block, and then just making a bunch of different red and off-white taupe half square triangle blocks. You can arrange them into the windmill block. You'll make block pairs, and then you'll sew the pairs together. And depending on where you place the red, the dark of the half square, it creates a rotation of the windmill block. Now that we have all the block elements made, we're going to assemble the quilt into the quilt top. We'll start with the first row. In the center of the first row are 2 flying geese blocks, surrounded by sashing strips, and then a pair of flying geese. The second row, in the center, we have 2 windmill blocks, surrounded by sashing strips, and on each side we have a bow tie block, and they're turned to be opposing. I'll pull the quilt up and let that center 8-pointed star shine. That center quilt block is so easy to make, but it's such a focal point to make this beautiful quilt. We've added sashing strips and then 2 more windmill blocks on each side of that center 8-pointed star. The bottom of the quilt is a mirror image of the top of the quilt. The next step would be to add the outer borders and the inner borders. The inner borders are this red diamond fabric with contrasting cream floral cornerstones. And the side sashing or inner border is also a red diamond. And then the last step for the quilt top is the outer borders. We have this beautiful taupe paisley with larger cornerstones and a beautiful red elegance floral. Once the quilt top is assembled, then it's time for the quilting process. So layer your quilt backing, your batting, and your quilt top, and use your favorite method of pinning or spray basting, and then head to the sewing machine and do some free motion quilting, some straight line machine quilting. And then the last step would be to add the binding. And you'll find tips and blog posts and tutorials on all of our favorite techniques and the favorite Nancy Zieman binding technique at nancyzieman.com/blog. There are so many other popular quilt blocks that are made with easy half square triangles and quarter square triangles, including Night Vision, Weather Vane, Sawtooth Star, Shoe Fly, Square Dance, May Basket, King's Crown, Windmill, and Nancy Spool. Find our free block sewing tutorials at nancyzieman.com/blog. Click on the Block of the Month series in the right column. Connect with Team NZP at the Nancy Zieman blog. Find links to our social sites and sign up to receive our e-news updates in your email inbox. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoy Nancy's No Hassle Triangles in your next quilt. You'll find the new No Hassle Triangles ruler and No Hassle Triangles gauge, along with our patterns, project bundle boxes, and exclusive show specials at shopnzp.com. Thank you for joining us today for No Hassle Triangles and Quilts the Nancy Zieman Way. I'm Deanna Springer, and I'm delighted to be here for the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. And we welcome your questions in the chat boxes next to the video player. And we have some questions coming in, and we look forward to talking with you today. Lauren is asking, what is the best scissors and marking pens that you recommend? Well, it's really a personal preference. It's what works for you. The sewing tools are essential and quilting tools for having a good experience, a nice quality finished project. Use what works for you, try different things, and good tools make the process go really well. And we have a long-term relationship with our underwriter, Clover, of Sewing with Nancy. We go back 30 plus years, and the Clover tools that we use, we feel are some of the best and have great results. So thanks for the question. Linda is asking about the pressing mat. Do you think it really helps? I do use the wool pressing mat. I didn't until someone sent it to us to give it a try. And it really works really well for absorbing some of that extra moisture. When you're pressing your blocks, you really want those seams to stay in, and you don't want to spend a lot of time pressing, but pressing is essential to having a square and nice looking quilt. So use that time pressing, use good quality projects, and stitch, then press always. And use starch alternative 2 as well to keep everything going. The wool pressing mat is very nice and compact. It goes right next to your sewing machine as you're stitching and pressing. It is slightly padded. It absorbs that seam, so your seams aren't showing through top fabric. And behind the scenes tip, the slanty board that we use while we record Stitch It Sisters is slightly padded. And while tracing the blocks, you could see in the video when I use the No Hassle Triangles gauge and trace those blocks, that pressing pad, slanty board's a little bit padded, and that sinks in, and it's kind of difficult to mark. So when you're marking your blocks, you don't use a padded surface. Use that firm table surface to mark your blocks. Doris is asking, if you want to draw the actual sewing line, is it a 1/4 inch from the center or to the outside? So the way we do it, Doris, is to mark the center line and then set our seam allowance at a scant 1/4 inch. So we have our No Hassle Triangles gauge, and it marks the center. And then again, that's not the stitching line. You've heard me say that a few times. The stitching line is a scant 1/4 inch. So Doris, if you want to go ahead and mark those lines, they're a scant 1/4 inch away from that center marking line. There's no need to do it. Your presser foot can do that with. You can move your needle so that you have that scant 1/4 inch. But if you want to get started stitching right on the line, you go ahead, Doris, and mark those and scant 1/4 inch on each side of that center line. Judith is asking, what's the name of the slide measuring tool? And Judith, I'm sure you heard me answer your question already, but it's the No Hassles Triangles gauge. And it's available at shopnzp.com. And it's a gauge that was designed by Nancy, actually. Nancy and myself and the team had released the 501 sliding gauge. It's the same coloration and a little bit smaller, but it's a 6-inch seam gauge that slides and press. You press, Nancy always said, you press the button and slide it to the block size you would like to make. In today's lecture, I talked only about half square triangles. One whole side, the whole right side of the gauge is dedicated to quarter square triangles. So maybe we'll talk about that next time. But the gauge is very handy for marking, and it has all the measurements on it. So just like the ruler, the brand new No Hassle Triangles ruler that Nancy and I developed a couple years ago, and we're glad to just have it coming to marketplace right now, that has all the dimensions on it too. So we were always wondering, okay, we want to make a No Hassle quilt with half square triangles. What size do we start cutting the square? So it's on the gauge, it's on the ruler. You don't have to look it up. And it's super handy right on your tool. We have a question from Katie asking about starching all the blocks when quilting. We do. We do. When my sister Dana started working with us a couple years ago, now almost 2.5 years ago, she started helping with the Block of the Month project that we were working on. And I said, really spray starch those fabrics before you begin. And she gave it a quick spray starch and then started cutting. And she had pretty flimsy blocks and was kind of discouraged with the outcome. So really spray starch alternative, and press those fabrics before you cut them. So we're using, for this project, fat quarter pack. In each fat quarter, we take and we actually 2 or 3 times use that spray starch alternative and press and get all that moisture out. And that kind of pre-treats and shrinks the fabrics. And then as we're sewing and pressing, we're also using that starch alternative. And it really keeps your pieces square, and it makes the sewing process enjoyable, and you won't be having unshaped blocks. Lisa is asking, she's new to quilting. Do you pre-treat fabrics? Good opportunity. That's our most popular, best advice we can give you. The best classic time-saving tip from Nancy Zieman is spray starch and press, and spray starch and press. Just give it a try. Spend those extra few minutes at that ironing board doing that, and you'll have such a more enjoyable process. Now Dana gives advice about stiffen that fabric until it's practically boardy, and your success will be in the pressing. You don't skimp on the pressing and the starching. And Dana came from a background of sewing and garment sewing and costume making, and she said, I'm not a quilter. I said, we'll make you a quilter at the NZP studio. Shannon is asking, what do you think of using a clapper? Definitely. I did not show it in this lecture. Definitely use that tailor's clapper, or my sister Denise likes to call it a quilter's clapper. And it's a piece of hardwood that we used in tailoring when we were tailoring collars and all of that. We still do some of that, but we use the tailor clapper more often when we're pressing our quilt blocks. What that does is that hardwood, you press and press your fabric blocks to the dark side, and you press that tailor clapper on top of it just for a little bit. You don't have to pound it. That's a quilting myth. You don't have to pound it with a tailor's clapper. You just press, and what it does, that hardwood absorbs some of that moisture, kind of like that woolly mat I was using. Use them in conjunction, and you'll have flat press seams, and it'll go quicker even if than not using the tailor's clapper. So good question. Stephanie is asking, should HST always be sewn with a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance? And look at you, Stephanie, HST, half square triangles. Yes, we always sew our half square triangles with scant 1/4 inch seams. You can sew your projects with full 1/4 inch seams. However, most patterns are designed for scant 1/4 inches, most quilt patterns. And what a scant 1/4 inch is, it's just a slightly smaller seam than a 1/4 inch seam. When we're doing group quilts, if we have 3 or 4 people working on different blocks, everyone does a slightly different seam allowance. So when you take those blocks and mix them within a quilt, your intersection seams won't always match up if you're not using those identical seams. So set your machine, practice, measure it, stitch and measure it, and then stick with a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then your project will come together at the end. And we have Post-its even, and we write down the setting and stick it on the machine. You know, we shut the machine off and come back the next day. You want to make sure you have that setting and that same presser foot attached on the machine, because you can't make a quilt all in one session. Marie's asking, does this method of flying geese provide the 1/4 inch seam allowances needed for joining rows and sashing? Yes, just what we were talking about. I brought the quilt along with me today. I have my samples on it here. These are the flying geese blocks. And there are 2 seams in each of the blocks and then 1 in the center intersection. Stick with that scant 1/4 inch seam allowance throughout the entire project. The only time I vary from that is the binding. I tend to do a little bit wider stitch when I'm stitching the binding on because I like a beefy, nice binding. Susie is asking, when using the wool pressing mat, should you use steam or a dry iron? You could try and see what works for you. I was using it on the sewing cabinet. That's not where I usually use it. On recording days, it's on the sewing cabinet when we're shooting those cutaways, but it's usually on the ironing board because that steam will permeate the wool pressing mat. Using it on the ironing board and with a wool mat, and I maybe didn't answer your question, but it really does make a difference with not having those seam impressions come through. Teresa is asking, what's the difference between a slant 1/4 inch seam allowance and an exact 1/4 inch seam allowance? I think that means scant 1/4 inch seam allowance. It's basically a fraction of an inch. A 1/4 inch seam allowance would measure 1/4 inch. A scant 1/4 inch seam allowance would measure just under a 1/4 inch. So the idea is once you press your seam open, that's when it measures a 1/4 inch, because actually when you're pressing open, it takes up a little bit of that fabric width in that seam. You don't want a big fold in there, but once you stitch with scant 1/4 inch seam allowance, then press them open, think about it that way. That's when you want that full 1/4 inch seam. Katie asks, what do you use when you're stitching with the 1/4 inch or generally quilting? We use a 1/4 inch quilting foot, and there are several different options available. If you find yourself at the cabin, you can move your needle. You can use your standard presser foot, which is usually 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, but then move your needle position and do some test stitches to make sure that you're getting that scant 1/4 inch. But really we like to use 1/4 inch quilting feet, and some of the 1/4 inch quilting feet even have a guide for guiding that fabric seam right into the needle. So you want to sew your seam straight from your foot into your needle and keep all the seams straight. Jean asks, is there any place to get the directions for Nancy Ziemann's quilt show and her Hassle-Free Triangles Quilt Squares video? We have lots of directions and tutorials, and we have lots of patterns at shopnzp.com. You'll find many of our tutorials at the Nancy Ziemann blog, so nancyziemann.com/blog. All of our tutorials are listed there. Hundreds of tutorials. We step it out step by step. So just head over to those websites and do a little search, and you'll find those quilt tutorials right at the blog and the patterns. And you don't have to remember those URL websites. You can just go to quiltshow.com, go to the vendor mall, and click on the Nancy Ziemann Productions booth, and we'll take you right. Those links will take you right there. Pam, I'm so glad to see the triangles gauged used. It doesn't leave a solid line on the diagonal to guide you. However, she prefers using the OnRegrid ruler on a diagonal to draw the entire line. And you can do that. Because of the die cut openings, when you trace, and depending on the block size, the No Hassle Triangles gauge can make half square and quarter square triangles from 2.5 inches up to, I believe, yes, 6.5 inches. So those die cut openings, it's not one solid line, as you point out, Pam. So you can take it, after you do your markings, you can take it with a straight edge ruler and then connect those lines. You can do that, sure thing. Catherine is asking, do you wash your fabrics before beginning or after the quilt is made? Well, Catherine, it's a true confession today. I do not usually wash the fabrics. It depends on the project. The project behind us is a larger bed quilt, the Icy Spots quilt. And that's going to be a bed quilt someday when it's done being famous and, you know, traveling around in our quilt show samples. But those would be pre-washed, and that's yardage. So actually we do, for larger bed quilts like that, we'll zigzag the yardage of fabric on the raw ends to keep from raveling in the washing machine, and then wash and dry them like you would the finished project. This quilt, the No Hassle Red Elegance quilt, is going to grow up and be a wall hanging. So it's not usually going to be washed, or it'll be surface vacuumed. And truth be told, we did not pre-wash these fabrics, but we do pre-treat each fabric fat quarter or fabric piece by steaming and pressing, and then using that starch alternative at least once or twice, sometimes 3 times. Dana does 4 times. She likes it stiff as a board now when she's doing her quilt squares. So it's really up to you, and it's many times recommended that you pre-wash your quilts, your fabrics before quilting. Jan is asking, is the bundle of fabric used to make this quilt available for purchase? This is our beloved Red Elegance Fat Quarter Pack. These are fabrics that have been out since January. So these are our 2020 fabrics, and this week, Team NZP moved this fabric pack into clearance. So if you head over through the vendor mall at quiltshow.com and click on Nancy Zieman Productions, at shopnzp.com, this has just been marked down this week. So they are available. They're the Red Elegance Fat Quarter Packs, and we do have some left. We love these fabrics. It's been fun working with them all year long, but we have new fabrics coming, and it's time to make room for the new Fat Quarter Packs. So head over to the vendor mall and find those there. Monica is asking, is there a list of the patterns that I mentioned as being used for half square triangles? Yes, or half squares. Yes, nancyzieman.com/blog. And if you click on the block of the month, you can see dozens of block tutorials. So some of them are available as patterns, but they're also available on the blog. Hundreds of tutorials at nancyzieman.com/blog. And you'll find many of them that I showed today in the 2019 Block of the Month series. So little sneak peek, that's where you'll find those blocks. Gail is commenting, I know everyone uses a scant quarter-inch seam allowance, but I have experience lovingly using quilts falling apart. Oh, lovingly used quilts have fallen apart using only a scant quarter-inch seam allowance, so I usually go bigger and it doesn't look so bad. Why is quarter-inch so important? For quilts that are sewn with a scant quarter-inch, you want to, any quilting blocks, we always shorten our stitch length. So you don't want to use a 3.0 or 4.0 or like 10 stitches per inch. You want to turn that dial down and make those stitches smaller. That can affect seams coming apart, and you want to use high quality fabrics so that fabrics are not fraying apart. And really, if you're designing your own quilt, you're not using someone else's design pattern that has borders and sashing and things that has to come together and all become one at the end, you can use what's comfortable for you and use that quarter-inch seam if that's what you'd like to do. The biggest tip would be to turn the dial down and bring that stitching length down to keep those seams together. Judy is asking, I put a white pillowcase over my wool pressing mat to keep the mat clean and no starch scorched. Okay. I am losing the value of the wool, or is that a hoax? You know what? We always say, do what works for you. If that's working for you and you're experiencing good results, that's just fine. You still have, you're still using that wool pressing mat, and it's still doing the work for you if you are experiencing those good outcomes. Janice is asking, will you ever do a session on setting up the quilt sandwich for the best success? I've been thinking about that, and watch Stitch It Sisters Season 2 for that. And we have our favorite finishing and binding techniques at nancyzieman.com/blog. But I think you're right. I think it's time to do a how-to video on that. I agree. Oh, how do you choose your quilts for your fabrics? Well, it's easy when you start with a collection. And the collection of fabrics that we have always has some lights, some mediums, and some darks, so that the blocks play off each other. And you saw in the video that that's what makes that pinwheel turn. You need some lights and some darks, or some mediums and darks, or mediums and light to have that play, and that quilt really looks striking. And if you use a fat quarter packer, start with a collection, you'll have that assortment available to you. If you have one piece of fabric in your stash, or you find it in your favorite quilt shop, they kind of give you clues on the salvage. I don't have this fabric open, but on the fabric salvage, you'll see those printing markings, and they're sometimes circle or different shapes, and they show you right on the salvage what colors were used to print that particular piece of fabric. So you can use that. They use that for the printing process and making sure all the designs lined up. You can use that and select coordinating fabrics to go along with that piece of fabric you liked. So check those registration marks from the printing, and if you have a blue and yellow, take that and match your fabrics to those tiny little color swatches on the side. And that is how we match fabrics when we're not using a collection. Shelley in New Jersey, welcome Shelley, is asking, you just found the Red Elegance Fat Quarter Pack, and it's a great price. You're right. It's the lowest it's ever been. So what we have left is what we have left. Do I know if the red fabrics are a color set? Yes, we use Riley Blake fabrics, and they are color set. Again, if you're taking a dark red fabric and you're putting on a white, you can test it. And you can test that by overlaying small bits of the corners and dampening that, and letting that dry a little bit and see. Check that color fastness. But we found with commercial fabrics that they're set at the factory. It doesn't mean there can't be an exception. And we use so many beautiful hand dyes too. And you know that that's part of beauty of a hand dye, that the color is not always set. Tracy is asking, why do we choose a light and a dark fabric always? Why not dark and dark? And really, why not medium and medium? I'm really drawn to mediums and mediums. I'm really drawn to the beautiful medium fabrics. But if you put mediums and mediums, or darks and darks together, you'll have a quilt block that looks square. It doesn't look like it's pieced. So you want to mix those lights and those darks so that you can have different looking blocks, and you can have movement in your quilt. You can't see the shape without the different colors and the different values of those colors. So it's really you have to be kind of pulled outside your comfort zone with those beautiful the colors you're drawn to, and complement them with those mediums and lights. It really does help make your quilt a success. Well, I've so enjoyed talking with you today, and so grateful we're all coming together for the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. Be sure to head over to the vendor mall at quiltshow.com and find Nancy Zieman Productions in the vendor mall, and then check in all the beautiful quilts. The PBS Wisconsin team has done an amazing job recording the quilts and the quilt exhibits, and you feel like you're walking through for a personal tour. So enjoy.